Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live. Well, you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate, leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now, on Candid Frank Live, joining me is the only one I know that can handle this job, Aaron William Freeland. Thank you for being here, Aaron.
Thank you,
There
Frank.
you
How are
are.
you today?
I was looking for you. There you are. You're right there. You're right there. I see you. You were behind the writing that I just had up. You're a sneaky little bugger. You hiding on me like that. I don't like that. It's not nice when you hide on people. Not good. Good. Thank you. Just thought I'd
Excellent.
mention it. Yeah. So Daniel's doing operating the room for us. Doesn't he do a marvelous job? You know, we never talk about the producers here that do all the hard work of making sure we get on the air. I'm really proud of the job that Daniel does. He's probably one of the best siblings I know. Oh, wait a
There is
second.
a
Janet,
yeoman's amount
Janet,
of work that
Janet's
goes
your
on behind the
sibling.
scenes.
I guess I better not say that.
Seeing as she's our other producer, that could cause issues.
We do not want to start a symbol. Is there such a word as siblingmatic?
Sibling rivalry, yeah.
Sibling rivalry? Okay, that'll work for me. Speaking of rivalries, let's talk about the Canadian Football League and what's going on there. Of course,
Uh,
the Owls beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
yes, so it appears that the little birdies got stuck in the Blue Bombers' engines and just kind of grounded them.
They sure did.
Wow. I was not expecting. Everybody was calling this for Winnipeg, saying they're going to be 10-0 coming out of this weekend. But after a shanked kick in overtime, everything came out for the Alouettes. So
You know, it's incredible that Canadian Football League professional kickers miss at the most inopportune moment.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, David Cote made a 43-yard field goal during the first possession to start the overtime. Liegio had it from 37 yards out, so he was 6 yards closer, but missed it, hit the upright. And the Owls ended up winning that one. Friend of the show, Trevor Harris, completed 18 of 27 passes for 213 yards, while Zach Collaros had 21 of 27 for 251. Backup quarterback Dominique Davis got into the game and scored twice for the Owls on the ground, while Cote was good on 2 of his 3 field goal attempts. So, all in all, everything considered, everything came together at just the right time for Montreal.
So I couldn't go to Costco with the better half. She had to go get a hearing aid. She's getting new hearing aids. She knows I do
Really?
it at 6 o'clock. So what does she do? She phones me after 6 o'clock. Boy, it's going to be one of those days. I feel like the Winnipeg Blue Bomb. This is terrible. I shouldn't be laughing. You know why I'm laughing? Because the reason isn't that Montreal beat Winnipeg. It's that the owner, since the beginning of the season of the Montreal Alouettes, said, we're going to win that game. We're going to win that game. And they finally won a game, and look who they won against.
It's one of those things. He virtually promised them to this.
How many times he has promised wins every, and then finally he's right. See, told you so. See, I told you. That'll learn you. All right. So, congratulations to the Alouettes. A fantastic victory. There's that additional thing where you got Harris up against, Collaros. Those guys were on the sideline with the Argonauts. They worked underneath. Behind Ricky Ray. So, good for them. Interesting game. I'm sure there was a little longer hug there at the end of that game, I got to tell you. So the Argos and Ticats play tonight. I was hoping to go, but I have this stuff I've been doing. I've been so busy with the shows we're doing and with the political thing I'm doing. I'm going to be interviewing all the ones that are willing, every candidate here in Wasaga Beach, running for council, deputy mayor, and mayor, and gosh, Aaron, I've been so busy, and then nobody knows yet. We haven't announced it yet, but here at the Recplex, which is basically the community center, we'll be having a debate, and I'll be moderating it on the 21st of September. So it's been real busy working out the deal to do it, and then find the politicians to show up and make it happen. We don't have, not even Rogers Cable is here and does much for us here in Wasaga. So I took it on my own. I wish I hadn't at times.
It was a Herculean task that you took on, Frank. I'm glad you're actually going to be able to get this out there,
I
though.
didn't tell you.
That's important.
You're taking part too. You'll be coming up here. Did I not mention that?
No, not in the slightest.
I didn't mention that. Eh? Oh,
No,
okay.
and you know what? I wouldn't be able to help you anyways because I'm going to be on the East Coast. So if it's 21st of September, I'm not in town.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Just when I need you, I can't count on you.
Dude,
Let's go
I'm 4
back to
provinces away.
football. Let's go back to football. Did I mention the Owls beat the Bombers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
The Argos Ticats square off. Can't make the game, but we'll be watching tonight. This is another grudge match. You know, so you could say since the Eastern Final, they're 1-1.
Well, and this is the second of 4 games in 5 weeks between the Ticats and the Argonauts.
Gonna be fun, baby.
It's one of those things. I mean, you know, last week the Argos came away with the 34-20 victory. Now the Ticats are going to try to even the series on their home turf. Unfortunately, Dane Evans won't be participating tonight. He's been ruled out with a shoulder injury. So we're looking at Schultz to start for quarterback on tonight for Hamilton. So
I heard the Argos don't give a Schultz.
No, they don't care. It's low on their priority list.
They could have 2 of them, so they could have 2 Schultz. It wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
Ticats Addison confirms Achilles injury.
Yeah. Yikes. So he confirmed that yesterday that he was definitely out. He'll be going for surgery next week because apparently he ruptured it. So that's a bit of an ouchie.
Yeah. Elks signed 2 players.
So it looks like Edmonton's trying to change things around again and get some more players in there. But they've signed American linebacker Nate Evans and American defensive lineman Ja'Kai Polite, is it? Or Polite? Yeah. I'm not sure.
Either way.
Okay. But anyway, they've both been added to the practice roster. Evans played 4 seasons in Central Florida. He was one of the top tacklers in the AAC with 247 tackles. Polite was released by the Argonauts earlier this month after suiting up for 3 games. He recorded 2 tackles in his 3 appearances and was selected 68th by the New York Jets in the 2019 draft. So,
Tiger Cats Inc. 2, wide receiver, including Canadian Tyler Turner.
So, again, looking to fortify. This is one of those things where, you know, they keep having players going down to injury. So, Tony Brown and Tyler Turner have both been added. Brown spent training camp with the Ticats in 2022, just recently, and spent time in the NFL with the Washington football team for 2020 and 2021, and the Browns as well in 2020. Turner spent time with the Ticats in training camp this year as well as playing for BC in 2020.
Yes, and now I got a question for you. Can BC turn the trick?
That'll be interesting. Hey? That'll be interesting to see.
That'll be a great game.
You know, if Roar continues to play that he has been, it's very possible that we could see them further pull away from Calgary. I'd like to see them go 7-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the 2 teams that have had a lot of difficulty. Edmonton from the beginning of the season, Saskatchewan since they went to Nova Scotia.
Yeah, you know, Saskatchewan being at 4-4, I think is more of a surprise than anything else this year based on the roster they've had and the season they had last year. I was expecting better. Edmonton, they've been having issues for quite some time now. They're not doing nearly as bad as Hamilton or Ottawa, but, you know, and they at least seem to be showing up for games, whereas with Hamilton and Ottawa, it's really hit or miss as to whether or not the practice squad shows up with a real team. So,
Soccer Canada, our ladies lost 2-0 to South Korea. Aaron, what happened there?
Well, this was the under 20s. So this is part of the FIFA under 20 Women's World Cup. The unfortunate thing is Canada lost based on 2 corners. And with set pieces like that, things tend to get very chaotic. It's very hard to practice and defend against those sorts of things just because there's a massive amount of people in front of the net. The unfortunate thing is Brooklyn Courtnall was the one who scored the first goal. It was an own goal, which was rather unlucky. Coincidentally, Brooklyn is the daughter of former NHL forward Russ Courtnall. So there's an interesting little tie to the hockey world for you. But we again got burned on a corner in the 62nd minute as well. One of the Korean players, Haeyeon, got above Holly Ward and headed the ball home past the far post. I mean, it was a physical game as you'd expect, but it's one of those things where it's hard. Canada will be playing France next on Sunday before wrapping up round robin play next Wednesday against Nigeria.
Let's go to the MLS soccer, and let's talk about the Whitecaps.
So we mentioned this earlier in the year. This was something that we covered, that there were allegations against former women's coaches Bob Berarda and Hubert Busby Jr. They did an investigation into the investigation about the Whitecaps' response, and the report prepared for Major League Soccer by Janice Rubin and Melody Johanzadeh of Rubin Tomlinson LLP said, while the club acted quickly, there were issues with the investigation itself. So, I mean, these are allegations that go back to 2008 against Berarda and 2011 against Busby. The problem is that the investigations MLS concluded were superficial and lacking in depth. So this is, again, one of those things where teams need to be better when it comes to reporting this sort of thing and taking care of their own and taking care of everything. So hopefully this will be an eye-opener and what MLS needs to try to sort of take these things more seriously.
Progress. We need progress.
Yes.
Let's talk about the NBA and, of course, the NBPA. That's the Players Association. Announced the league will permanently retire number 6 in honor of Bill Russell.
So, as you know, Bill Russell passed away lately. Russell won 11 championships in 13 seasons with 5 MVPs, made 11 All-NBA All-Star teams, and was a 12-time All-Star over his 13 years in the league. What's going to happen is players who are currently wearing number 6 can continue to wear it. It just won't be reissued once they get rid of their number, or if they get traded to another team. They won't be able to keep that. Everybody will have a number 6 patch, as well as on the one of the timekeepers and announcers tables at courtside.
So to repeat, every player who has a number on a team will keep it until they retire or are traded to another team, where they will be asked to change to a different number.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's a good deal. I mean, Serena Williams leaves women's tennis in good hands. Her last match was here in Ontario, in Toronto.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you hate to see them go, but as Serena herself said, I don't like the word retirement. It doesn't feel like a modern word to me. She's thinking of it more as transitioning away from tennis and into other endeavors. But she actually held her last press conference on Monday following a 6-3, 6-4 victory over Nuria Parisas Diaz. But as it currently stands, with the current crop of players that are coming up, Bianca Andreescu, Leylah Fernandez among them, this female tennis is actually in a much better place than it has been in a long, long time. So grateful to see that.
So Hockey Canada is posting a new job.
Yeah, this is interesting. The title of it is unfortunate.
That's the title? Unfortunate?
No, although I feel whoever takes it maybe. They're calling the position a director of maltreatment, harassment, and abuse, which I don't think is necessarily the way they want to word it. But this director's position is to improve safety within the organization, to sort of be the dartboard, really, for public scrutiny. Basically, they're looking to hire somebody that can act as a fall guy over intense public scrutiny concerning handling of sexual assault allegations. Uh, they intend to oversee the introduction of an independent and confidential complaint mechanism, as well as this new individual who will be fronting for them for the media. He'll also be tasked with the creation of a new screening program to assess a player's character for high performance programs. So they'll be looking at players' past behavior to determine if they qualify for certain bursaries or grants or participation in training camps and that sort of thing.
Well, that makes it tough. I mean, who wants to get a call from him to show up at his office? You know what
Hey,
I mean?
hopefully
Wow.
it'll make people straighten up and fly right, so we don't have to put up with this BS.
Yeah, but if somebody just goes to say hello, the poor guy's going to be a lonely man because nobody's going to go see him. I
Well,
really, I'm
not
not being
willingly.
funny. I'm not being funny either. I mean, can you imagine having that position? And and
Yeah,
and, and it, ooh, boy, that I listen. Whoever it is that takes the job, they deserve every square inch of support they can get because the title itself is I got to tell you, it's off putting. But it is what it is. If it's what the pendulum has, it was so far in the wrong direction. I'm afraid the momentum of going to the right direction, it's going to go way past where it needs to be. But you know what? Live and learn is all I can say. Hopefully they'll work it out. At the end of the day, it's taking care of people, mutual respect, and ensuring that behavior that's inappropriate is treated the way it should be treated. Depending on how inappropriate, the punishment should be relative to that. So hopefully, Hockey Canada will get in a better place where they can do this with a little more integrity, something that was missing. Hockey Canada, McTavish puts up 6 points. Canada crushes Slovakia 11-1 at the World Juniors.
Oh yeah, this was a bit of a
Somebody
butt
made a
kicking.
boo-boo.
It was 8-1 by the end of the second period, 4-1 after the first. Yeah, McTavish basically has been kicking all sorts of butt in this tournament. It's absolutely fantastic. He's been getting a lot of praise from his coaches because he has no ego. He probably has every reason in the world not to come to this tournament because of the timing. He is an Anaheim Ducks pick, and they're prepping for training camp. So, the fact that he decided to play and fine tune it says a great deal about his dedication to country, and also is a good indication for Anaheim of how dedicated he's going to be for them. So Canada right now is 2-0-0 in the tournament, so that's good to see. But yeah, McTavish had a fantastic game.
This is a story that continues to be interesting. The NHL Russian player who was headed to the National Hockey League wants a court, I guess, in Russia to reverse his conscription.
Yeah. So, as some of you who've been following the story along with us know, back in May, he signed an entry level contract with the Flyers. And decided he wanted out of his contract with Red Army in the KHL. So they said, nope, grabbed him off the street, drugged him, and shipped him off to a submarine base in Siberia. So now he's got his lawyer, Alexei Ponomarev, who's filed a lawsuit against Russia, basically, for Fedotov's conscription. And the city court in Vsevolozhsk is going to be considering it this fall. I think I butchered the pronunciation on that. In any event, Ponomarev told Russian media he believes that the conscription of Fedotov is illegal because he doesn't live in St. Petersburg, where he was drafted into the army. He lives outside the city, but is currently registered in Moscow, where he plays hockey. So they're just trying to say, hey, you guys used the wrong recruitment center to get that guy in and get it annulled. We'll have to see what happens.
I don't like his chances.
No, I don't either. So,
the Golden Knights goalie Robin Lehner expected to miss the 2022 season, 22-23 season. My apologies, with a hip injury.
And somewhere off in the distance, you can hear Marc-Andre Fleury cackling maniacally.
Yeah, you can also hear the GM with them going, now what do we do? Because this is a tough year to pick up a goaltender.
It definitely is. I mean, Leonard only played 44 games last season. He had shoulder surgery in April, and now he's going for hip surgery. So, I mean, he did post a 23-17-2 record with a 907 save percentage in 2021, 2022. But as it currently stands, their goaltenders are Laurent Brossoit, Patrick Nolan, and Nicholas Hague, who are all on injured reserve, leaving them with one goalie.
Wow.
I'll give you a hint as to who he is. He used to play for the Marlies and Maple Leafs.
Go ahead.
That would be Michael Hutchinson. Is now pretty much the only goalie option for the Golden Knights.
4 in Toronto to number 6, and then there were injuries. Wow. Well, good for him. I hope he takes advantage of the opportunity. It looks good on him. So you could say Robin Lehner can shoulder the blame for the way the season ended last year, but I got to say, he ain't too hip as far as they're concerned this season. Oh my goodness.
No, he's fit to be tied, I tell you. But honestly, all joking aside, I do wish Michael Hutchinson all the best. I've always been a fan of his for the way that he held himself and for the way that he played with the Marlies. I know that given proper defense, he's a decent goalie, and Vegas can certainly help him with that. So, it's going to be an interesting season.
There is another issue, and that is the pressure playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs and even the Marlies. It is heavy.
Yeah.
Extremely heavy. Let's go to entertainment. Everything you need to know about the future of The Flash and Ezra Miller allegations. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. So,
deeper and deeper and deeper.
I tell you, basically what's happened with Ezra, other than the fact that he quote unquote abducted a woman and their child and kept them at his ranch. He's also been hit with various drug charges and weapons charges. They've been bumping the release date. Miller was charged with disorderly conduct and harassment after a physical altercation with patrons in a Hawaii karaoke bar. 3 weeks later, Miller was arrested again for second-degree assault after throwing a chair at somebody. In June, the parents of an 18-year-old Standing Rock Sioux activist, Dakota Iron Eyes, alleged that Miller used violence, intimidation, threats of violence, fear, paranoia, delusions, and drugs for influence over their daughter, who they say began an inappropriate relationship with Miller when she was only 12 and the actor was 23. Also in June, a Massachusetts family claimed Miller harassed and threatened them, including the actor showing up at their house wearing a bulletproof vest and brandishing a gun. So it's one of those, it just keeps getting worse and worse and piled higher and deeper. I'm almost wondering if at one point they're going to try to do a multiverse thing and bring in Grant Gustin from the TV show to be the new movie Flash and just sort of shuffle Miller out of it. But he's been having a rough spell.
We can't say that his career went up in smoke in a flash because it hasn't been a flash. It's been a slow burn.
Yeah, people have seen this coming for a while.
Wow. I hope he straightens things out. I mean, I don't like to see anybody. That mental illness is not, I'm saying he's mental. I'm just saying he's suffering from something to be this unhinged. I mean, the definition of unhinged. Here's a sad story. Anne Hesh drove into a house. The car caught fire. She suffered massive burns, and now she's suffering from a severe brain injury, Aaron, and she's not expected to survive. I thought I heard that. Well, I guess that's just another way of saying she's going to pass away, and that's a sad story.
At 2:30 this afternoon, it was actually confirmed by Anne's family that she had passed on at the age of 53. She is legally dead according to California law. However, her heart is still beating and she has not been taken off life support. This is in order to allow the One Legacy Foundation enough time to find recipients who could potentially be a match for her organs.
Wonderful to make after death.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where they haven't released the toxicology reports as to what was in her bloodstream at the time of the accident, Unfortunately, the house that she hit burned completely. So the family that lived there lost everything.
Wow, it's just terrible.
It is a
Okay,
tragedy.
news: Newfoundland and Labrador. Newfoundland wildfires could be a sign of what climate change has in store for the province.
So forest fires have been burning for more than 2 weeks in central Newfoundland. This is unfortunately an ongoing trend and something that happens with climate change. There are two large fires that have been burning since July 24th near the towns of Grand Falls and Windsor and Bay d'Espoir Highway. These fires have actually shut down the highway since they first began, cutting off towns along the island's south coast from the rest of the island and closing a transport route that's necessary for supplies. Um, Different provinces have sent aid. The fires were triggered by lightning strikes during a period of drought. So this is again drier, hotter, everything that is absolutely perfect for something like this to actually happen. Um, so they're hoping for rain in the next couple of days. They're hoping for a little bit of that, which would greatly help the firefighting efforts.
In New Brunswick, there's some concern about the state of healthcare system.
So basically, they found in Fredericton that doctors and nurses have been having panic attacks on the job. And many who aren't already on stress leave are exploring ways to get themselves onto stress leave. The problem that you have here is there's an increase in the number of illnesses, lack of adequate support, increases in the number of assaults, just overworked. This is it's a steadily worsening situation, and it just doesn't seem to get any better. Um, there have been suggestions put forward, but none of it seems to have worked. All of the improvements that have been promised have seemed to have fallen flat, mainly because the timelines that the province set out aren't meeting the ongoing demands that are occurring. So they're seeing this crash happen in real time, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
Yeah, seems terrible. Remains of priest removed from Quebec. Well, let me go to first to Nova Scotia. Former CEO of Halifax Children's Hospital released on bail.
So this was the CEO, Tracy Kitch, who was convicted of fraud. She's been granted bail one day after being sentenced to 5 months in jail. It's a $20,000 surety following a court appearance. So she was found guilty in February of using a corporate credit card to pay for about $47,000 in personal expenses. Nova Scotia Court of Appeal Justice Ann Derrick says she doesn't believe that Kitch is a flight risk, which is why she was granted bail. But she is required to report to Halifax Regional Police by phone on a weekly basis.
Wow, terrible. Yeah. Let's go to Quebec. Remains of a priest removed from Quebec Mohawk community after sex abuse allegations.
So these are the remains of a priest who is alleged to have sexually abused children. The Mohawk Council of Kanawake, that governs the area south of Montreal, so the remains of Reverend Léon Lajoie, who died in 1999, were exhumed on Wednesday. Several members of the community allege that they are abused by Lajoie. And in March, the community voted 233 to 195 in favor of digging them up and getting them out. Wow. He arrived in Kanawake in 1961 and was a parish priest until 1990. Now, an outside investigation commissioned by the Jesuits found no evidence of abuse by Lajoie, though it found evidence of a serious sexual assault at St. Francis Xavier Mission, the church where Lajoie was buried. But the probe, and again, this is done by the same people that hired him, concluded the assault was committed by someone else.
Okay. Ontario stand up between University of Ottawa and says doesn't mean strike will happen.
So we're looking at a standoff between U Ottawa and part-time professors. Approximately 2,500 members of the Association of Part-Time Professors of the University of Ottawa are no longer protected by the provisions of the collective agreement. What that means is, at this point, these individuals are no longer protected by the union, which is causing issues. Obviously, they want to try to get that resolved.
Wow.
Uh,
Ontario reports 96 new COVID-19 deaths, a new seventh wave high.
Now, this is one of those lagging indicators. All the reports that we've been hearing from media sources and from doctors and from the Ontario health boards is that we're over the peak. But again, these 96 deaths are what we call a lagging indicator, like increased amounts of COVID in wastewater and tailings. This is a lagging indicator. So it's we may see more deaths reported in the next couple of weeks, but at the same time, test positivity is down, hospitalizations are down, respirator use is down. So this is all a good sign.
Not something anyone has ever seen. Hydro One investigates how a barge and crane left Toronto in the dark.
So yesterday afternoon, there was a power outage in the downtown core. This happened because a barge transporting a crane down in the Portlands actually snagged a high tension power line and basically snapped it and blacked out most of downtown Toronto.
Yikes.
There were now here's the thing: when reporting that there were only about 10,000 residents affected, one condo tower is considered one resident because there's one
Oh,
power line that goes into it, and there are several condos that are in that area. So it wasn't just about 10,000 people; it was potentially hundreds of thousands. So,
so basically,
but
what
they
they're saying, contacts, not people,
yes,
or the electrical contacts. That's how many contacts were lost, but
yeah.
multiple people connected to that contact. Oh my goodness, that this is terrible. Toronto police deny targeting cyclists in enforcement blitz in High Park.
Now there have been a lot of complaints from cyclists recently about what appears to be an increased number of tickets by bike cops in High Park over apparent speed violations. Um, a lot of the cyclists are complaining that they seem to have been targeted. Um, the Toronto police are saying, well, we don't know what you're talking about because only about 2% of all the tickets that we issue are actually issued to cyclists. And the cyclists are saying, yeah, but it still feels like we're being targeted. And there are current proposals in there to try to put in a higher speed bike path for individuals who want to go faster than the posted speed limits in High Park. We'll have to see if that comes into effect.
Yeah, I guess there's some people that especially the ones that are dressed for cycling with the they used to be 10 speeds. What are they now? 100 speed?
Well, I mean, I've got an 18 speed. I
There-
guess there are 21s and 24s out there, but yeah,
So you can really motor,
definitely. If I need to.
but it's a little dangerous when it's not on the road and it's in a park and with animals that frequent parks. And people tend to not legally, but let their dogs go free. Children, yeah, it's a bit of a hazard in a park going too quickly. I think, Aaron, even though it's
No,
there.
oh, most definitely. And it's a lot of this comes down to common sense. I mean, if you know that you're going to be going through an area of the park that's populated, you're not going to go blitzing through at 50 kilometers an hour. You're going to take it a little bit slower.
I just whenever I hear the words common sense, immediately I know there's a problem.
Yeah, it's neither common nor sensical.
There's, it's comical, not sensical. Okay, so Manitoba is the first province to sign out to federal funding for crisis hotlines.
So this is a new federal initiative. The federal government will be going to provide funding over 4 years so that crisis centers can do such things as hire more staff and train more volunteers. It's part of the federal government's promise to spend $30 million on the issue, first announced in the spring budget this year. Marcy Ian, the federal minister for women and gender equality and youth, says she expects other provinces to sign on soon as well. Um, and the company that's actually hired on is a company called Clinic, spelt with a K, who says that the volume of calls rose sharply during the COVID-19 pandemic, and they were struggling to deal with it. So glad to see that Manitoba is getting on board. They're getting, like I said, $1 million over 4 years, so that they can get topped up and help as many people as possible.
Yeah, that would be fantastic if they could do that. In Saskatchewan, they're calling into questioning in schools paddling to exorcism.
Yeah, now this isn't paddling to exorcism, but this is paddling to exorcisms.
Yeah,
So
the gamut.
exactly. This is basically Saskatchewan is basically stepping in to supervise 3 independent schools after a proposed class action lawsuit was filed against former teachers, pastors, and church elders for
Yikes.
alleged abuse of students. Education Minister Dustin Duncan said that he's going to appoint supervisors to oversee 3 schools that are linked to these allegations, which include paddling of children and an exorcism. Legacy Christian Academy and Grace Christian School in Saskatoon and Regent Academy in Prince Albert are all to get supervised visits once a month starting in September. Hopefully, these won't be announced visits, they'll just show up. But supervisors are to sit in classrooms and observe teacher student interactions. According to the government, the school employs some staff who are named in a recent lawsuit filed by former students of Legacy Christian Academy alleging physical, sexual, psychological, and spiritual abuse between 1992 and 2005. Grace Christian and Regent Academy were not named in the lawsuit, but at the same time, Education Minister Dustin Duncan said it would be prudent to include them as well. But the allegations includes abuse by teachers, coaches, counselors, and a nursery director, and that includes children from kindergarten to grade 12, as well as by elders, pastors, and directors within the church.
There's a sentencing hearing in British Columbia for a man convicted in the Amanda Todd case set for September.
For those of you who recall, Amanda Todd was a 15-year-old who took her own life in 2012 after posting a video that described being tormented by an online harasser. 10 years after the case, we finally got a guilty conviction for a Dutch national by the name of Aiden Coben. This sentencing is scheduled to start on September 20th. It's one of those situations that you wish never would have happened. But he was harassing and extorting Amanda Todd before her suicide. So we'll have to see exactly what happens here. Carol Todd says that she's going to be delivering a victim impact statement during the hearing as well.
Aaron, you're on the internet. You're fairly young. You're much younger than me, and I see what goes on the internet. I see the abuse that takes place. I've actually been victimized in a way too as well. You know, how do people of your generation and you think younger, how can they fight this kind of behavior? Putting people in jail because this is stuff that's going on the internet. It's not like the neighbors know the guy went to jail. This is a guy who pretty much hides from the situation. How do we resolve this? Being your age, and because the only reason I'm mentioning your age is because neither of us is 12, 13, 14. Neither of us is a teenager, and we can't understand why a teenager would become so affected by this kind of behavior. At our age, what could we do? Do you think what could we do to help stop this? Is it our attitude and the way we behave on the internet and be a better example?
I think that might potentially be part of it. I mean, for certain, I try to always behave on the internet as I would behave in person. Like I'm not out there demanding nudes. I'm not out there, doing that sort of thing or trying to extort people. It's not.
I'm even more careful now on the internet.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, the biggest thing that I find is if someone is giving me unwanted attention or harassing me, I have found that the block button is the easiest way to get through it. Not a word of a lie,
I get that part. Yeah, I guess I'll put myself in the breach. I have become accustomed to, and I've been doing this over and over again, more and more. I think the key for me, this is not, I'm not telling people how to live. This is just what works for me, is that I'm finding that I find I'm happier and less stressed out when I don't engage. Now, people say things and there's automatically the reaction that you have, right? So I have the reaction. I even, in fact, type up something in a robust, word salad. I write it all out, and then I read it, to make sure before I post it, should I post it? And then 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 times out of 100 lately, I just read it, try to understand why I feel the way I do at that moment, because it's always a snapshot, right? And then I move it over into a file I have on my computer of things I wanted to post. And if I told you how long the list was, I don't think you'd be surprised. The point I'm trying to make is, folks, and this is my suggestion. I'm not telling people to do this. I think we gotta use. I don't think it's an accident that Twitter created the delete button. And the reason it was created, I think, is to give people an off ramp, right? Where they say something and then realize, oh my goodness, I've offended the world, or I've pissed off the world, or, I don't like what I said there. And you get to delete it. I think we need more of a softening of rhetoric and people engaging in arguments. I think that's the one thing about the internet that needs to be taken care of for the sake of us as people. And I think for the sake of children, it's how we behave and what we do that makes it easier for them to know the difference between doing something stupid and something, that makes you live a happier life. I don't think people are generally wanting to do the kind of stuff that happens on the internet. I think because it's approved in at one moment and time, it's like a snowball. You know what I'm saying? And I would like to see if there was a way to have that snowball go in reverse.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. And
In other words, get it. This is something that goes back to my childhood. We were always told, like somebody told me, if you're really mad at somebody, write them a letter, but don't mail it. That's what the theory is. This is not anything I invented.
no, it's something that's been around for a long time, right? And it's one of those, write it down, think about it, sit on it for a bit, read it the next day. If it makes sense the next day, send it. If it doesn't make sense, don't. I have a lot of deleted stuff. I have lost track of the number of times that I've written something, rewritten it, written it a third time. I have a rule for myself. If I can't make myself understood in 3 different attempts, it's not worth responding to.
Yes, and the real word, and the word is a beautiful word in the sense that it's very descriptive. Engage. Do not engage. Because that word is very accurate in what you're doing. When you engage, if you understand what the word means, it is like you're basically all in. And nobody should be. I'm not saying they shouldn't believe what they say, but it shouldn't be the beginning and end of the world when you have a conversation. We tend to make what we say, uh, we make it too important. We don't leave room for other people to have an opinion that may not be exactly like ours. And unfortunately, it has to do with, ironically, I guess, because it's on the internet and you're in the privacy of your home. You're not in the privacy period. Like, you're in the privacy of your home, but you're not in the privacy. A whole bunch of people are able to listen, to pay attention, to read. So it adds even that much import on what you're writing to you yourself.
Now, and you know what? Honestly, a lot of times when I write things on Facebook, I will set the audience to only me.
Well, that's the same thing that I'm doing.
Exactly.
You're just getting it out of your system. We all got to, folks. There's another thing that some people do is they get in a fight with their mate, and I wish I had to learn this. I didn't. I would have had a better relationship if I had to learn this. So this is just advice that I should have taken. You can take it whether you want. When you get angry, get out of the house, go in the car, scream and yell in the car.
That is something that you could potentially do. Yeah,
It's a way.
it's a way to handle it, definitely. Um,
It's better than confronting the person you're angry with, because that usually doesn't go well.
the number of marriages that could be saved.
The number of relationships and friendships that could be saved if we just vent indirectly as opposed to directly. And also, there's people who, one of the problems of misplaced anger, right? That's another issue where people get angry and then take it out on the wrong person. And by wrong, I don't mean someone who fights back. Well, them too, but people who don't deserve your ire. That's another thing. The reason I'm mentioning this is that we haven't spoken about uh, the man in orange, the Orangeman. We haven't spoken about him in a long time. We're getting to the point where anybody who doesn't have an axe to grind with him, forget the people who don't like him, forget the people who can't stand him, but the people who are on the fence for him. How do you stay on the fence now when you're dealing with a man who clearly took stuff out of the White House he had no right to take? He didn't make the information not classified, because he could have declassified the information, right? We haven't heard yet that he did. So what he did was he took it, made it be important. And why would he do that? Why would he hold classified information? And if the information was so important to him, why didn't he declassify it? Because then it wouldn't be as big an issue. Now, he doesn't have the right to declassify everything. I'm afraid, in my opinion, it looks like he took information that was classified, didn't declassify it, because its value was higher if it was classified. I
This
don't
is
know.
one of those moments where you generally have to wonder if he's actually thinking at all when it comes to this sort of thing. Um, Also, leverage. Because of the way that Donald Trump has been known to do business in the past,
Right,
having information like this to him is a form of currency,
right.
right? So,
And he
hey,
could
I
do,
got this. Wouldn't you like to know about this? I'll tell you what, for X, you can have it on your television program.
and what if, now this is all speculation, folks. I'm not saying I know this for a fact, but these are the things that we need to concern ourselves with, or if you're the US, you need to concern yourself with. Let's say the noose is starting to tighten and he knows it, right? And he knows that he's about to be in a position where he won't there's no way out, there's no off ramp. Could he be holding that information and still holding information they didn't find, that if they don't let him off the hook, he's going to do something that, basically, he has, like you said, he has valuable information. And maybe he's even, because we know he doesn't have any faith in his own country. We know he isn't a good American. We know he's a traitor. We know he's somebody who lies. And why wouldn't he turn in the country for whatever it is that he wants? I don't think that's beyond him. That's what's scaring me here, because we keep going down this road, and this guy does stuff that's lower and lower, and every time we think he's at rock bottom, he finds a new bottom.
The receipt for the search warrant has been released.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I've got that pulled up in front of me right now. A lot of it is showing it. Well, there's an executive grant of clemency for Roger Jason Stone Jr. There's information concerning Macron. There's a leather-bound box of documents, a couple handwritten notes. Box 10A is curious. It's miscellaneous secret documents. Box 11A is interesting because that's miscellaneous top secret documents, as well as 13A. 14A is confidential documents. Looking at, a lot of it is confidential or secret, and there's a couple boxes of top secret. So it's
Concerned there's
interesting.
also nuclear stuff in there. They don't know
Well,
what their nuclear program or the status of nuclear programs around the world, how to make nuclear stuff, where they're located, all these, like, my point is, why is this guy doing this stuff? Like I know, you know, to me it's always about him, it's about, what helps him, and he's willing to lie to do it. And this guy was the most powerful man in the world. We're only beginning to find out what this guy's willing to do.
it is definitely concerning. It's one of those. It's like me coming out of a store. Why did you buy that? I don't know. It just seems like that's what it is with this guy.
Is it possible the people who making excuses for him, because we've heard people who on the day of the insurrection, people turn like you know all of them. I won't even bother mentioning names. They all after a day of the insurrection, because either way he's always getting a resurrection. The day of the insurrection and the day after, people stood up in the Senate and Congress in front of microphones talking about this is it. I've had enough. So this guy's holding a lot of secrets. Aaron, what are the chances that some of the secrets that he is holding and information he has that we haven't heard about is stuff that he's garnered being in the position he's in on people in the United States, maybe very influential people, and he's holding that information on them? Does it seem like that's something he might do to you? It does to me.
I'll be honest with you. In all honesty, I wouldn't put it past him.
Neither would I.
So,
and that might explain some of the loyalty is not loyalty; it's self-preservation.
there's a lot to be said about that sort of thing. Also, it adds credibility when he says, "Now, if he lies, I have documents that show that."
Right.
It doesn't have to, but everybody knows he's taken documents.
Right. Now everybody knows.
In them?
How many people knew that he was doing stuff like that before we all found out? That's my point.
Yeah.
And like he could just say, I have some information on you. However, he does it because we know he does things in second party. We know that he's not shy about calling people and telling them stuff. And if he's telling people stuff like that, you're not going to see a recording of that. You're not going to hear it because him describing what he has on you isn't something you're going to run to somebody to tell him, right? Or play for them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, to me, my mind just is doing somersaults thinking about how low would this guy go? And it doesn't matter what I think. It always seems to be he finds a way to go lower than even my imagination can put together.
Yeah, there is no bottom for this guy. There really isn't.
Ugh.
Every time the penny drops, it's never going to hit bottom.
Hopefully there's an orange suit for him in the future.
It matches hair.
There's a lot of people, Aaron. There's a lot of people that I can't imagine how many people would run out to the streets if this guy did the perp walk. Imagine
that'd be a great pay-per-view, wouldn't
it? It would be free. It wouldn't be pay. They'd give it away for free. Anyway, Aaron, it was a pleasure as usual. Thank you for being a part of this. It was a fun show. Always talking about Donald Trump is always a lot of, I said his name. I didn't want to. Oh, well.
Hey, thanks for having me, Frank. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. We didn't even have to say his name. Everybody knows who we're talking about. Thanks to Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.